what a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Speaking of Patreon, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon. So a massive shout out of thanks and appreciation to Henrik86, Muted, Dick Earth Skeptic, theflatearthchannel.com, Chris Hillman, N.A. Literalist, Steve ALM, Maria Neelands, David Robinson, Unbelievable Productions, Blue Ridge Ranger, Rob H, Burn Fat Till My Stomach Is As Flat As the Earth, Nathan Thompson, The Real Gabster, Wind Rider, Missouri Bear, Liam Nedrick, Dank, Erwin Jennisons, Abraham Mohammed, Dave Rakia Gafford, Naibai, Joshua Balsimo, Adrian Quintana, Skeptic936, Life is Short, Fireball X, Felix Hung, Texas Mike, Edwin Johnson, Godrockin, Kirsten Smith, Tina Baker, Alexander Main, and David Wayne Foster. So a massive shout out of thanks and appreciation to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. Now we are joined by a couple of people in Discord and G+, so I'll raise the mic on them and you can enjoy their dulcet tones while I set up for today's live show.
No
Good
puns.
morning.
What'd you say, Travis? What was that, Travis?
I said no puns.
What if it's 4th down and 5? Can I punt then?
Oh.
Man, you got to work on your sense of humor.
I'm just jealous you're quicker on the wit than I am.
It's okay. I like the contrast when you say that. I love it. I can't imagine the world where you have hot dogs without puns.
It's good to know you can rely on Travis for a steady flow of conversation, eh?
No, I'm just like waiting.
I was trying to think of something to say, like, what do I want to say? I was just about to push on mute, but I'll go back on mute, Nathan.
So, Travis, are you a truck driver? Because you said you had to pull over to weigh the truck.
Yeah, those weigh stations drive me nuts. Absolute waste of time. It's all commercial. It's all just revenue.
Yep.
It's just absolutely insane.
Got a joke about that. Truck driver walks into the doctor's surgery with a steering wheel down his trousers. The doctor says, "What's all this about?" And the truck driver says, "Yeah, that's what I'm here about. Can you sort it out?" He says, "Well, what's the problem?" He says, "This steering wheel's driving me nuts."
Your first part of that was all muffled for some reason.
Yeah, I know. I wasn't gonna make him repeat it, but I didn't hear the first part, so your punchline didn't make any sense.
Oh. I'll try that. Let's just reset.
Sorry, Nathan.
It's okay, I'll just reset my desk. Hold on. Am I any clearer now?
No, you're fine.
Yeah,
fine.
that's good.
Okay, I'll tell the whole joke again. The trucker walks into the doctor's surgery with a steering wheel down his trousers. And the doctor says, "What the hell's all this about?" to the truck driver. And the truck driver says to the doctor, says, "Yeah, that's what I'm here about. This here steering wheel's driving me nuts."
All right, yeah, I'm laughing. Yeah.
Yeah, we had no clue. That's what.
Yeah.
How you
I'm like,
started it.
yeah. So when you said the steering wheel is driving me nuts, I'm like, I don't get it. Is this a joke or was he telling a story that was real?
Yeah, I had no clue either, but I laughed just because he's the host.
You didn't get it, did you? Be honest, Travis. If you didn't get it, I'll explain it.
No, wow. I'm a truck driver, but I'm not that kind of truck driver.
My goodness.
Steering wheel, driving his testicles, driving.
No, we got
me nuts.
It's not funny anymore, Nathan. It's not funny.
No,
anymore.
we go.
Just stop.
It only works in English dialects, Nathan, because me and Ma can be interchangeable.
You're right. I recognise that as soon as I delivered the punchline that the me is either probably Midlands upwards, sort of a bit northern, driving me nuts. Like,
no, we actually got the joke, but we just didn't hear the first part, the first go around. Oh gosh. So, Discord. Anybody want to lively up the pre-show with some conversation?
Can I get a mic?
Hey, Neil.
Okay.
Neil.
I heard you. I got the joke right.
Neil, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. What'd you think of my son yesterday?
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. I hope it ended well.
Yeah, for the first time, I've seen it, his mind racing,
No, it's not fair to family. This show is reactive. On the whole, we're dealing with people who want to approach us, right, about the subject. Now, when it's your family, personally, I think it's better avoided because it may end in a row. Well, you just don't want that with your family, right?
Oh, it does end in a row every night. But anyway, he was with me the whole day yesterday, so he couldn't avoid it. I had the show on all day.
You just don't want. What I'm saying is, you don't want to alienate family. Now, the people who come here, I couldn't give a crap if I alienate them or not. They mean nothing to me, but they're not my family.
Yeah, but I want him to think a little bit. I want him to be a little bit of a free thinker.
You're his dad, right? So no matter what happens, Neil, you will influence him. You are an influence on him, and how you act and behave will influence how he acts and behaves, whether or not he likes it, regardless of his age.
Oh boy.
No, I don't mean like that.
Someone was trying to get in the word there.
Was it Travis?
No. Hey,
all I'm saying is, since not avoiding the subject, but not intentionally antagonising my family with the subject, occasionally they'll dip the toe in the water with me, and I'll tentatively give them a response, and then try and close the conversation out. Because it tends to end in a row. Well, nobody needs that. The show is the outlet for that, and you've dragged him on the show. I mean, more power to you and all that, but I said that. Go on.
It all depends because on the environment of your family and how you discussed other controversial matters all along. For example, my family, my mother, my father, my brothers, and I, we talked about everything. We debated about everything. Everyone was allowed to be a free thinker. And we love each other no matter what. Then I get married and I'm introduced to another family that wasn't quite the same. And there were some people like the way we were acting, like members of that family, but others would just be quiet and not talk out loud or debate out loud. And then they got married, and now we have other family and nephews and nieces, and everything changes because everybody's got a different point of view of what a good conversation is, where passion and emotion is, like a part of it, but not malice. Whereas some people, they can get passionate and emotional, but they also get angry to the point of hate. And we've never been that way, but I could see how that happens because I've seen that happen.
Precisely.
So Discord, anybody in Discord want to lively up the pre-show that's has the baller view?
I'm interested to hear more about your family, to be honest, 10th man. Are they all flat earthers too in your immediate family?
My immediate family, I said, I want you to make up your own mind, but this is where I'm at. I've always been here since I can remember, and now it's the time to just charge with it. And they go, what are you talking about? I go, here we go.
You didn't actually answer his question, 10th man?
No, I'm just telling him how it happened. So my whole family is a flat earth family because I presented them in that sense. I didn't come on to them and said in any other way. I showed the proof. I told them why I accepted it because I've always doubted the globe model, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, my immediate family is all flat earthers.
Do you ever get the feeling it's the flat earthers just for an easy life?
Absolutely not. It's reality. Yesterday, I had 2 workers on my property. They're going to change a telephone pole today for a power line. They're going to shut down the power for me, so I might lose you when they come. And I said to them, hey, can I ask you guys a question? And they said, sure. And we had a nice discussion about flat earth. And I went over the top 3 arguments. The Coriolis, the gas pressure without container, and the black swan with them. And we had a good conversation back and forth. One was leaning flat to begin with, the other one was a baller. And by the end of the conversation, they both agreed, based on the evidence, it was flat. It had nothing to do with easier life. They were working hard either way, whether it's a ball or flat, they were working hard.
I don't understand the question. What does that mean, easier life? I don't get it.
Well, some families, some women especially, I've noticed in my family, they'll just agree with the male just for an easy life. You know what I mean?
Really?
Okay.
Keep her.
Family,
Definitely keep hold of her.
I'm not talking about my partner. My partner would kick the shit out of me.
I don't know.
Well,
that's certainly not my experience. my wife's very forthright and headstrong. There we go.
Yeah, same with mine. She as I said, she doesn't take no shit, and she'd kick my ass any day.
Well, that's what you want, independent thinking. You don't want robots.
Yeah, but there's a difference between someone who's argumentative and someone who is a conversationalist.
True.
Someone who's contrarian, right? So there's a reason why the Bible says it's better to live on the corner of the roof than with a contemptuous woman, right? No one wants to live with a bitch. So there's a big difference between a woman who will challenge your thinking and love you or go make love to you 5 minutes later, rather than someone who just argues with you because now I'm not speaking from experience by any stretch of the imagination, if you understand what I'm saying. It's not like I lived with a woman like that for 23 years, but anyway.
Well, I think you make a valid point. Someone who just wants to argue for argument's sake, and versus someone who's allowed to have their opinion and thought and still be respected from both sides. Alrighty then. Anybody in the
Exactly,
Discord want to talk
alrighty
about? What was that?
It's the kind of conversation that only takes place when there's a distinct lack of women around. So, this is a total sausage fest, obviously.
Well, I don't know. I'm fair. I'm fair
I wonder why
to
that
women
is.
because. What's that, Neil?
Sorry, I think it was me talking. But I think it is interesting that it's mainly blokes, isn't it, that subscribe to Flat Earth. I wonder why that is.
There's a
What
fight
proof do
involved,
you have of
that's
that?
why. Generally speaking, the general populace have been trained to ridicule this subject in whatever form it takes and however it's presented. So therefore, if you're a woman and you come to this subject, there's a high likelihood that you'll appreciate very quickly that this is a combative subject. And most women aren't combative.
Oh, you tell that to the feminist social justice movement.
They're a minority.
So are you.
And
Yeah,
psychopaths.
This tit for tat isn't... yeah, let's just try and stay in response to your question. That tends to be, and it's not, it's not like a baseless generalisation. Women tend not to be the fighters, do they? Men do. Well, this subject's combative. So I would say that would be the reason women steer clear of it. The women who do get involved get the worst kind of abuse imaginable. I've witnessed it the entire time I'm here. And if I was a woman looking in on that, I would go, I don't think I want to get involved with that. And who can blame them?
Well, I could tell you.
You make an interesting point,
it's-
Nathan, but I don't know if I agree with it.
Right.
Well, I could tell you.
Go on, 10th.
For
Sorry.
this, yeah, I could think of 3 women right now whose husbands won't even talk to me about this, but their wives, the women, have come to me and say, okay, so why do you believe in flat Earth?
Yeah, that's because it's you. I'm sure you're really warm and cuddly and really approachable, right? And not in the slightest bit combative in terms of how you'll present it. So yeah, I bet women come up to you and ask you about it. You lucky sod.
Thanks, Nathan. And with that, no. So what? That was funny. No, I think it's a little bit more. I think they say, something my husband is not willing to talk to 10th man about. I'm going to go find out.
Get you.
Causing trouble, man.
Yeah, I can
trouble.
hear it in your little chuckle. You've obviously got that 8-year-old still trapped inside you somewhere.
7, 6, and 8. I love it. I love conversations. I love tough subjects. I just want to get to the bottom of things.
I'm exactly like you, 10th man. I just ask
Yeah, I don't
questions
care.
and like,
Yeah, I mean, I don't care if I'm wrong. I really don't. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong.
Yeah,
this is why I like Flat Earth debate. I've learned so much about science since I've been listening to your show. It's been great.
You listen to Chemo's show
Why
today?
do I think you're not serious?
Just one sec, Neil. Did you happen to listen to Chemo's show today? Vacuum is a brand name.
No, I've only got time to listen to your show, Nathan.
Oh, that's touching. I just watched a load of people butchering science as they hacked around a subject matter that loosely was related because Spurs made it loosely related. And for a change, Spurs was by far and away the most educated person in the subject matter. It was really, really funny. People telling him, well, you take a picture and there's your science right there. You took a picture of it. And so you can almost hear Spurs' how do I say this? Spurs' eyes roll. That's right, isn't it? Not Spurs' eyes roll. Spurs' eyes roll as they're saying it, metaphorically speaking.
So, Neil, why do you not think Vacuum, whatever his name is,
Vacuum is a
isn't
brand
sincere?
name. Vacuum is a brand name, is the guy you were just speaking to.
All right, so Mr.
I
Kirby,
think it's
he
a very
said
clever name.
something.
He seems disingenuous to me. I don't know. It could.
I thought
Hold on, don't poison the
what
well.
would you
He
like
hasn't
me
done
to do?
anything disingenuous so far, so yeah, normally, yes, Neil, but let's not poison the well. Every day's a new day. 10th
I
Man
don't know
and
how
Vacuum
I'll
is a
give you
brand
that
name. Go
impression,
ahead, hopefully without interruption.
I'm calling Mr. Kirby since Vacuum needs a brand name. So I think what he said was profound. I think he has to come to a flat Earth channel basically to learn about science.
No, I didn't mean that. You're reading too much into it there. I've gone
what do you
away
mean then?
and I've looked up stuff I've neglected, and I've found a lot out.
I see. So for whatever reason, you're saying it's led you to do more research.
Yeah.
Cool. Great. Wonderful.
Yeah, but I remember his words saying this is the only show he can frequent, and he has learned more about science here than anywhere. That's what he said.
I'm waiting for the backhanded
No, I didn't
slide.
say that. I didn't say that.
Yeah, you said,
Yes,
you
what
said
did
that
he say?
twice. You've said you didn't say that twice, so waiting for the backhanded slide.
No, I'm saying you say things and I go, oh, that's interesting. And I go and look it up. And then I find out more about it. You know, I don't learn about it here. I learn about your opinions here. And then I go and try and figure out exactly what's going on.
Oh, okay. Now that's more clarity. So let me ask you something. What did you find out when you went and checked what the actual scientific method was? The three
I found
variables.
out that it's the argument you make is very interesting because it takes, if you take away some of the objective evidence we've got, you make a very compelling case.
Well, let me just ask you on the scientific method, since it started here on this show and you went and checked it, I assume. Did Nathan and QE represent the scientific method properly?
It's definitely a biased slant on it.
No, don't. I'm not asking for that. I'm saying when you said that everything you hear here, you check for yourself, and obviously the scientific method is one of the major points here. Have they represented it properly?
Well, I don't think I've looked up the scientific method fully. I mean, I think I understood that. I understood that quite well.
Well, give us a for instance. What have you heard here that you looked up?
Hold on. You think you know that quite well? Cool. Ace. So what's the first step?
The first step in what?
You having me on already? You kidding? You said you know the scientific method quite well. That's what? First step in that. The scientific method. The one you just said you know quite well?
What? You want me to describe the scientific method?
Do I need to speak slower? What is the first step in the scientific method?
Well, I don't know it exactly, but I mean, I could give it a
Quite well.
rundown. So,
Sorry, quite well.
You've got
quite well, you said. Quite well. Quite well.
Well, if you let me finish, I haven't finished.
No, you've said you don't know. I just asked for an answer to this question and you don't know. Now you think you need to waffle on indefinitely.
You're fundy muting me.
Stop.
You're fundy muting me.
Stop talking. You don't know the answer. You told us you know something quite well. Now we're at the point where I'm going to point out that you don't know it at all. So, no, you don't know it quite well. You're wrong. Now, we do. We know it really well.
I don't know how this has got so aggressive from you, Nathan.
I'm still talking.
I thought we were being very cordial.
I'm still talking. Hello? No, you declared.
Hello?
Sorry, can you stop talking through me? We're at a point where
you talked over me. I haven't finished my sentence.
You've told us the wrong answer and that you don't know the answer to this question. Now, given that that's the point we're at, that doesn't mean that you get indefinite air to make a new point, obfuscate me pointing out how wrong you are, pointing out that when you said you thought you knew the scientific method well, you were incorrect. Now, that's so far had indefinite obfuscation from you, and now you're obfuscating it again. Whenever you guys get something wrong, you think it's your time to talk indefinitely through me while I point out how wrong you are. It's now the third attempt. Now, please, Vacuum is not a brand name. pretty pleased with sugar on top. I would like uninterrupted air on my own show to point out where you're wrong without you interrupting me. This is going to be the 4th attempt. Okay, let's try again. Your claim that you know the scientific method well is incorrect, given that when asked for the first step, you don't know. Therefore, you don't know it quite well. You know it 0. You don't know it.
Okay, you're right.
Thank you.
That's all it was.
Can I ask a question then?
Well,
Because when I came in,
When
you
did
said
you
that he has a biased view of it. Well, how do you know he has a biased view of it if you don't even know it?
He doesn't. He just likes to poison the well, make people think that I'm doing something wrong when he hasn't got the vaguest clue what it is.
Oh, okay. Copy that.
but I don't know the exact steps, but I could probably muddle.
Okay, step 1. What's that? Muddle through step 1. What's step 1?
Well, there's a few steps, isn't there? So there's like you need.
Yeah,
to,
what about the first
you need
step?
to have a question.
Sorry, mate, all you're now going to do is obfuscate your own stupidity. And I'm tired of it. You've already accepted that you were wrong. Now, what, are you going to backpedal and try and demonstrate that you weren't wrong when you've already admitted you were and you haven't got the vaguest idea? Why are you doing this? Have some humility.
That's
Okay,
beautiful. He
go
said,
on.
ask your
I'll let
question.
you have this one. I'll let you have this.
Let me have it. What, your stupidity? I'll have that, will I? No,
I'll
you've
let you
demonstrated it. And now you're talking through me while
Okay,
I point it
well,
out again.
what's your
Mate,
point?
you have no humility. You're talking through me again. It's not a case of you'll
What's
have
your
this
point,
one. Mate,
Nathan?
please
Get
stop
to-
talking through me. Please. It's not a case of you can have this one. You've demonstrated your stupidity and your arrogance by declaring that you know something quite well that you don't know at all, and now you've started backpedaling and saying, well, there's many steps. No, mate, you've already conceded you don't know what you're talking about. You've also alluded that I'm somehow wrong and biased in my assertions about this method that I've held you to task on, right? No, mate, that's just wanker behaviour. Why are you poisoning the well by telling people I'm biased in my opinions, which they're not, on something you haven't got the vaguest clue about? That's an absolute outrage.
Oh,
Do I need to repeat myself?
no, Nathan. I won't.
What, won't respond to it? Yeah, what you've done is implied that I'm somehow wrong, that I'm somehow biased. And then 10th Man's taken you through the steps of finding out precisely what you do and do not know about this subject. And the answer is 0. You don't know anything about it. You're stupid. But yet a stupid man like you has decided that he's going to go and poison the well about me. Right?
The problem is you're talking through him, so he's not hearing you.
Oh, he's talking through me constantly, is he?
He's trying to tell you that he's conceded, but he's talking as you're talking.
Yeah. Try shutting up. I'm asking a question. Why do you feel you have the right to tell an audience or anybody that I'm biased in my views on science when you haven't got the vaguest clue about it? So why are you telling people I'm somehow biased or wrong about this subject that you know nothing about? What gives you the right to do that, moron?
And then gets...
I'm still waiting. What have you got to say for yourself? Absolutely nothing. That's what he's got to say for himself. Other than when I'm talking, then he's got plenty to say. This is the behaviour we have to endure. This is why women don't want to be here. Because complete retards like this man will tell an audience that a certain woman, if it was a woman watching, considering coming into this subject, that woman doesn't know anything about science, for example, when the woman may absolutely have a good grasp of science. But the person saying that that woman in that example doesn't know about science, like this idiot here, he won't have the vaguest clue what he's talking about while he smears somebody. Now, in this example, it's me. But if a woman's watching that, they won't want any part of that. That would be retards like you smearing them based on zero knowledge of the subject they're smearing them on. Do you understand, moron? I'm talking to you, vacuum.
Hello.
Hello, Arwen. Just berating this fundy for his absolutely disgusting behaviour that we have to tolerate daily. Making an example of him. Of course, he's got nothing to say for himself. Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcomed back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now, we are joined by Chocolate Sane, Arwen, who else we got? Travis and 10th Man, together with a whole bunch of people in Discord. So welcome one and all.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. Any signs of a physical geometric sphere edge, formerly known as Earth curve?
Not from any truck stop.
Not from any truck stop.
And not from any
right.
truck moving either. Curve moves with you. Because it's not curve. It's optics.
Well, that's very concise.
See.
Thank you very much. Any signs of axial rotation in that case?
Not from any truck stop.
Go on, despite everything.
No.
Well, the pump must be
Only in
spinning.
the hands when you take a motor.
Only what?
You can have axial rotation only in hands when you take a motor.
Fair enough. Not of the Earth-based variety then. So we're not spinning, and there's no Earth curve. Earth is flat, people. We're definitely not spinning. What about any evidence of gas pressure existing without the necessary antecedent of a container for all the fundies who think the sky is a vacuum for that ball we're not on, not spinning to fly through?
According to my son, it just stopped.
Gradient. Gradient to the top of the container. But they like to...
That's your claim.
think
You need
hard.
to show container.
No. We need to define pressure. What's pressure?
I'm joking.
It's a necessary
Okay.
antecedent consequent relationship. So in order to have the gas pressure, which would be the force a gas exerts on the walls of its container, you're going to need a container for it to press on. So without the container, there can be no pressure.
I don't think people know what antecedent means.
I'm conceding that it's no vacuum. Now you need to show container.
Antecedent is a necessary requirement in order to have the following, or preceding thing.
If I'd never heard of it, I'd think it might be a potential cure to the flu or something.
That's
one of
an
those, like,
antihistamine.
one of those tasty balls that, you know, you really liked when you were a kid that were kind of... Oh, that's aniseed, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, no Earth curve, no spinning, no sky vacuum. Why do people think this again? Oh yeah, it's that philosophical religious worldview that's been punted into the entire Western world like it's real. There's no Earth curve, we're not spinning, we're not in a vacuum.
What do they have, actually?
A presupposition. Any evidence of the R value? The fundamentalist religious zealot presupposition that we have a radius to their presupposition that we're standing on a sphere, despite the fact we have no Earth curve and we're not spinning and we're not in a vacuum. R value.
No, they don't even have that, Nathan.
Yeah, I know. They used to have the presupposition to fall back on, ladies and gentlemen, but we robbed them of that with this argument called the Black Swan. Now they don't even have the fundamentalist zealotry presupposition of the R value. That's dead also.
Well, they're never even going to get to an R at this point, are they? They're never going to get to it because they don't even have a geometrical horizon that's visible. So they're never even going to get to R at this point.
Well, now we've done with the ones that destroyed the globe. Oh, go on, whoever it was in Discord.
I was saying, I don't think we robbed them, Nathan. I just think we exposed them.
Absolutely. But exposing the fundamentals to why we're not on a sphere still leaves a few things loose ends. Some of them get more jokey as you go along, but sticking with the tail end of the serious questions, any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of, drumroll, astronomy, drumroll, cosmology, another drumroll, or astrophysics?
No. I've checked Dr. Becky's channel and still no viable scientific hypothesis in her latest shows.
No, they never will
It's
either.
wondrous.
Wondrous, my ass. Science is empirical. Any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth? We're obviously into the more ludicrous of the presuppositional R-value based now debunked arguments or presuppositions that they may have if you're on a sphere.
Well, if there's no R and the globe is debunked, then there's none of that either.
No, I know. It's all nonsense. About gravity.
You know what? If we want to get really, really ridiculous about molten iron core, okay, if it's supposedly a hot thing that loses heat because of entropy, right, over the ages, then how could have life originally evolved from nothing in a time period where the molten iron core must have been a lot hotter than it is now because it is always cooling off, because that's natural law in a lot of presuppositions. But like, how can that work? If the life conditions were not optimal for life to even start to evolve itself, then how could it have ever happened? Oh, wait.
You forgot the glancing blow story.
Exactly. It's actually the other way around. It's too cold for the short span that they've got, whatever, 60 million years. That's too... In that period, based on the time period they give for the formation of the solar system, it should have already cooled down. But because of that mathematics, they've then introduced just so story about Theia smashing into it, depositing its iron core, the debris forming the moon. All that bullshit is because it should be too cold, not too hot. So yeah, way back when it first formed, in their bullshit story of gravitational accretion, you've got the core, but we haven't got any life at all to worry about justifying why it would be surviving with it too hot. But by the time you get to us, in their time frame, it should have cooled down already. There shouldn't be a core, hence the Theia story.
Right. So yeah, it's even worse than I thought.
Yeah. I mean, who cares? The mathematical nonsense of a molten iron core keeping us nice and toasty from the centre out like a giant revel is irrelevant. It's total nonsense, and there's no justifiable reason to give that just so story. You know, it's just part of the mathematics. And when the mathematics don't work, they just introduce some new just so story, like I say, some planet smashing into a planet that we're not, to give us an extra big juicy molten iron core. And the moon.
Shouldn't there be some kind of greater remnants of Athea? No, sorry, I'm just rolling this too far now.
Shout out to Al Junkie. He says NO and QE plus panel are ace. Rumpus equals a jackass. Yeah, it's surplus to requirements now, but I'm sure he's appreciative of the mention, Al Junkie. Thank you very much indeed for the support. As I say, descending into the farcical nature of the questions that follow the death of the globe, what with it having no curvature, no axial rotation, and us not existing in a vacuum, any scientific evidence of gravity.
No, there's really only a very vague description about it, with no more ties into provable physical reality anymore, really. It's just a story about something, and they don't even really properly explain how it's supposed to tie into reality. You just gotta think about the imagination of the planets out there and the gravity wells, and keep it in your mind. Don't try to make it real.
Well, you can't have the masses of people think it's a force holding things to the ground and at the same time say it's not a force. It's literally not a force. But if you want, you can think of it as a force. Now, we got the R wrong. We got the molten iron core wrong. We don't even know how to do a scientific method on this. So we do it by the seat of the pants. But just take our word for it. It's gravity. Magical.
Wait, 10th man, you started out saying the masses of people?
Yeah, multitudes.
Oh, okay.
Multitudes, not masses, now require definition.
Sorry, it's just, we were talking about gravity, right?
I've been requested by Sleeping Warrior to actually paraphrase the question to any scientific evidence of the reification fallacy that is gravity. It is, after all, a mathematical construct, conceptual pseudo-Ramonian force space, being translated into our real world. Therefore, the definition of a reification fallacy.
Yeah, a side note. Just a side note for Arwin.
Sorry.
No, I said just a side note, Arwin. It didn't sound right if I said the mole of people.
Ta-da. Nice. No, but I do like the reification fallacy, although it's really more about the Einsteinian concept. That's really a pure reification fallacy. You know, the preponderance in the idea of Newton, which is officially no longer involved, but still thought to be, then it becomes a little bit more weird. But a reification fallacy for the official gravity, yeah, that's a pretty good one. Although I prefer aberration myself.
Aberration, reification fallacy, horses for courses, right?
Yep. But yeah, kudos to Tony for finding that.
When he said it to me, I was like, well, duh. But then again, it's not about recognizing it for being a reification fallacy. It's about airing it, right? So he's saying, no. It doesn't matter that you understand implicitly that it's a reification fallacy. Other people don't, and it really triggers them when you point it out. And I was like, oh, really? That's got me a bit more interested. And yeah, he gave me an example, and I'm like, okay, I don't know why they'd be so triggered at pointing out that it's a reification fallacy. It seems obvious, but I'm more than happy to point it out and actually air it and actually say it, which is Tony's point. You know, yeah, it's all well and good knowing that it's a reification fallacy. If you're not actually saying it, you need to. So I'm like, yeah, I agree, you do. People need to realise that they're just reifying some mathematics into a force that's not a force, but you can think of it as a force. Well, the thinking about it being a force is the definition of a reification fallacy. You thinking about it as a force when it's not a force, it only exists in maths. Yeah, reification fallacy. Don't have to like it.
I guess that when you call it
really is level, man.
Exactly. They're telling you don't have to work at the really is level. What, reality level? Yeah, you can just reify it into existence. They're telling you. Even Moose is telling you.
But I think they probably don't like the word reification fallacy because it is just such a cold, blatantly hard error. Like, it's wrong. Well, if you call it an aberration, you know, or you say, oh, it's not proven, then there's still like this more mystical element to it that they can still like, yeah, but it's still sort of there, right? But if you just call it reification fallacy, it's just a big marker error. So yeah, I can understand why ballers don't like it when we call it that.
Well, it's interesting. They can't show us there are, but reification starts with R.
And Al Junkie adds to that, 10th man, Glober Street Activism, quote, Radius lives matter! Winky face. Right, last but by no means least, any evidence of the distance to the sun?
No evidence for the distance to the sun.
Perfect. That concludes the housekeeping then, if no one else has got anything to add on it. Are you with us, Chemo?
Sorry, did I miss the last question?
It's over there. It's over there.
It's over
The
there.
sun. Oh, the sun. Yeah, definitely over there.
I'm in and out. Hello, everyone.
Hello, Chemo. I listened to your show again today. Getting more into your show, by the way. Just getting the content quality is going up. Just need to sort the sound out a little bit.
Right. Well, it's just getting them to answer questions. As you saw, he just wouldn't give us his experiment with the independent variable. He was more of the opinion that this photograph proves another photograph, or an observation proves another observation. So they're completely lost and confused when it comes to actual science. Because I heard you speak with Highlander here about the method early before in the pre-show, and they're just completely lost when it comes to the first step. The very first step for me would
That was Mr. Kirby, by the way.
Would have been an observation there, Highlander. So you would see a phenomena in nature, which raises a question, and then you would go on from there. So that's something that they need to actually look into, because they're getting confused with this many different methods. Because if you ask them to use one of those methods, they don't know where to begin.
I mean, at one point, one guy was kind of... I had to laugh because I'm kind of thinking, could that stand? Because he's basically giving the independent variable as the sun and the dependent variable as a shadow. Now, obviously he's not trying to prove if sun then shadow. But that's what he's formulated. And it's like, that's science, Chemo, that's science. And I'm like, yeah, that proves nothing.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I could have just, stopped immediately, but you've got to hear. People just won't believe it. If you don't let them say it, then you just wouldn't believe it if you didn't hear it. You just wouldn't believe if I said to you, this guy thinks an observation proves another observation. You would. Not you, but you and just others were like, no, that can't be.
You had him. You completely had him to task on it, though, Chemo, because you're like straight to the ice wall. Which, when somebody's doing it to contrast someone else's, it's basically give the exact parallel of what they've just done, and you did it with the ice wall. You're like, okay, so if I show you a picture of the ice wall and go, my hypothesis is if ice wall, then picture of ice wall is dependent variable, therefore ice wall proven. And they're all like, no, it can't work like that when you're doing it.
Right, it was crazy. But it's just what they, I mean, they could go through it right now. I mean, Highlander, if he was actually to go into how he would use science, he would probably do something similar. He would say, I've got an observation, and you have another observation, and this explains. And I'm not going to put words in his mouth. I mean, now he's recognised how, it would go. He probably wouldn't say that, but if he was pressed, he would probably say, look, there's the observation. It proves this observation. And just simply no testing, no experiment. I mean, I even asked Brummy, the guy there that was speaking, for the definition of experiment, because it just seemed like he didn't realise what he was saying. Just experiment. So,
you did get it, though. Somebody did whip out a definition that included the word hypothesis. So they didn't do too badly in that regard. Somebody did define experiment at some stage, and it wasn't terrible.
It, posted it in the chat.
But immediately you pounced all over it, and you're like, well, you kept calling the guy Brummy, but where's Brummy's hypothesis? And obviously he hasn't got one. The guy wouldn't have a vaguest clue what a hypothesis was. But nevertheless, he hadn't got one, and the definition included that word, which you pounced all over. And I'm like, as I said in the pre-show, in the early days, when we started talking about the scientific method, in the broad terms that it's covered in this arena, because everyone's claiming science on the globe side. We described you, Spurs, as a kid with a chainsaw, because you'd heard the power of this argument when they're all saying science proves the globe, but you'd picked up the chainsaw, and kid with a chainsaw, meaning that you haven't got the strength in your arms to chop down a tree yet. So you're kind of in danger of chopping your own leg off. Whereas that was that's a long time ago. I'm not demeaning you. Whereas now, and I said this in the pre-show, you're schooling them. You know what you're talking about, and you're very patient. Everyone's ad homming you left and right and changing the subject. You just wait for them to run out of steam and then just go straight back onto the subject again. It's epic.
Yep, trained, muscled up lumberjack.
Just for clarity. Sorry, Spurs. Just for clarity. So Spurs is very much adept at this subject now. I'm not in any way demeaning him. He's not like about to chop his leg off. He's a skilled lumberjack, just for analogy's sake.
Yeah, because of the diversions they constantly do, you've just got to stay on point, really, and just ask the question again that you've asked. And then he finally got to it after about 3 or 4 times. I said, why did you fail to give an experiment for your hypothesis? And then it just went, downhill from there. But it's just making them recognize that how they're doing their thing. That's why, I know you don't like me to beg the question sometimes with them, with the space and that kind of thing. But in order for them to see their own errors, kind of like you said, when I said, look, picture ice wall means water's contained. That proves that. So when they see how ridiculous that sounds, he had to backtrack a little bit and say, well, okay, we've just got people who we know we can trust. So that's what it boiled down to.
Yeah, it was a good job, Spurs. And it's not the first time. So like I say, I'll give you a quick plug. So subscribe today to Under No Pressure. That's the name of the YouTube channel, which is run by Spurs Chemo. So check him out. Be here or be sphere. Under No Pressure.
Thank you.
And that channel name used to be very triggering one time when you were arguing for a very silly thing back in the day, Spurs Chemo.
Silly at all. He had an argument. I was more than everyone else got triggered, and everyone was moaning at me, going, "Oh, when are you going to ban him?" I'm like, "Why? He's got an argument."
Don't start him up again.
I'm not trying to. I'm just saying.
It's going to make sense now.
I had to poke it. Sorry.
Just in terms of real pressure. So, ball earthers, are they under pressure? Are flat earthers under pressure? And I think that's a message to flat earthers that, look, we're not under any pressure. We've got the truth. We just have to remain vigilant, calm, cool, and collective. And, they will literally crumble. Highlander was just a great example right now who just crumbled, Nathan, under your feet. Right? You asked him, what is the first step? And
keep talking.
He's like, right?
What's up? What?
Hold on. Stop interrupting me, interrupting him.
What's up?
Chocolate was trying to say something to Spurs, and Spurs was under no pressure and kept talking.
Go on, Chocolate. Ask your question.
No, it wasn't a question. I was just telling him that's how I see that title now, Under No Pressure. Like, you go in there and you're just like asking them simple questions, and all I hear is them losing their shit. It's hilarious.
And ironically, though, the way Spurs Chemo also talks, it's almost like a bagpipe. Not saying it's ugly, but like when he gets going, he really has to keep on. He just always keeps on going until the bag is empty.
Now that Chocolate's reiterated,
that was great.
Just
what a compliment, Spurs.
Well, it is a big compliment, and that's why I was just about to say. Can you reiterate that your the same exact point again that's been reiterated by Chocolate? Maybe expand on it a bit. Expand, boom, boom.
Me?
Yeah, you. Under no pressure, because you want the sentiment that flat earthers are under no pressure. The earth is obviously and observably flat would be the sentiment that I tried to put across in the same vein. I'm just trying to get you to expand on it, Spurs. Put the flat earthers at ease.
Right. So, because...
But Spurs, before you go there, I was just going to say it's a great title, because when you go to the ballers, you are actually addressing how they inflate everything, if you know what I'm saying.
Right. Right.
Oh boy! All right, go on, Spurs. You missed it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of like a message to the flat earthers, to us all, really. You know, we have no reason to kind of mimic or mirror them in any way. They get frustrated because they don't have the truth, and they're trying to calculate the answer immediately. So the way I see it is just we go in there, we know what to expect, and you just ask the question: how do you prove this? I mean, they keep bringing up gravity now, and it's like as soon as they mention it, what's gravity? Well, look, let's not go there. Well, hold on, what is gravity? Well, it's a force. It's not a, so just asking simple questions and staying calm, really.
It's frustrating. That question is very frustrating for them, isn't it? What's gravity? Simple as it is, it's very frustrating, right? But why would it be so frustrating if it was so simple?
There's actually a part of that question that's keeping them down.
Yeah, it should be just as simple as force, mass attracting mass. It should be as simple as we can experiment with that. It's not as simple as that. So they are really under pressure, whereas the flat earthers are under no pressure as far as I can. What pressure are we in?
Very true. However,
they're under pressure. They're in a container.
A skilled debater from the globe side will be capable of putting a flat earther under pressure. And I'm going to give my stress-beating tip to all flat earthers who find themselves debating this subject. It is not on you to justify their claims. And I'm going to expand on that as follows. If there is a positive assertion being made, for example, that the sky is a vacuum, you don't have to justify what the sky is. You're not the claimant. It's up to you to challenge that which is being claimed. If you want to offer a rebuttal in regards to what's being claimed, that doesn't necessarily involve you offering an alternative just so story in regards to the dome, as an example. So when they challenge you to say, well, what is the sky? Don't be put under pressure to answer a question that you don't have to answer in order to challenge a claim that's outstanding. So just to summarise, the outstanding claim in my example would be that the sky is a vacuum. Now, upon debunking that nonsense with the second law of thermodynamics, without the container there can be no pressure, you don't then have to fall into the trap of debating what your opinion, which is all it'll be, of the sky actually is. You don't have to provide a just so story to pummel the living daylights out of their nonsense just so stories about things like the sky being a vacuum, which it's not. Hope that relieves some pressure.
Another thing as well, I think, is we were not prepared for this. We were not ready for liars of this magnitude, right? So when you're speaking to somebody, you expect a somewhat honest conversation. So I think so I can understand the frustration on our side. I can understand how we just want to, completely lose the plot because, again, there's no training, there's no preparation for speaking to people who are just going to outright obfuscate what you're trying to say. So I think, over the years, we've kind of, we've grown, we've improved the argument. So I think we do, well, I think, any person coming into this facing a ball earther will face, obstruction, obfuscation, ad homs, ridicule, mockery. And I think it's like you do need some kind of training to prepare your mind for what's to come. So I think that's probably a reason why a lot of people do lose their cool, which is, again, completely understandable because we were not ready for, this kind of opposition, right?
I had a response from Ute. So Ute says, Spurs, the problem is they enjoy lying to us because they view us as trolls and scammers.
Yes and no, but like I said, on our side, we were not ready for this. I mean, when I entered, I thought we were just going to go into. I thought I was going to come into this, ask the opposition, prove the globe. They would prove it. We'd move on. I didn't think we'd get the song and dance. So it's just figuring out the characteristics of a globe earther, and just handling it really, managing it really. I think that's why we're not seeing a lot more flat earthers debate, because of that, because of the aggression on the other side. So it's managing.
I think I know what you're trying to say, Spurs, but I kind of disagree.
Okay.
I think what it does, it reveals the character of people more so than arguments that are valid or invalid. Character of people comes out on tough subjects like this, that there is all kinds of emotions involved. Because as we've said, if the Earth is not a globe, what is their fear? What are they afraid of? Why is it so hard for them to relinquish a lie? It's the consequences. And for each person that differs. But it would invoke, as we've always said, there needs to be a creator. And if there is a creator, then atheism and all these other things have to go out the window. So there's more to this than meets the eye.
Mm-hmm. No, I mean, of course, yeah. I mean, what we're doing, I think, again, we're analysing the globe earther. You just looked at the globe earther. You yourself, you're looking at the globe earther. I mean, I'm talking about our side, us, when we face globe opposition. How we handle that can be different, right? And I think, like I say, we're not ready. We were not ready. We were not prepared for that level. I mean, we spoke to people who, we've been through with the conspiracies you may or may not have, where they kind of, dance around. But this is blatant because it's everywhere. Like the Earth is right in front of. It's not like another conspiracy where it's out of your reach. The Earth, you're standing on it. So. I just think
I'm
from our
having
side,
trouble
just preparation.
understanding what you mean, not ready. I came into this ready. I came into this knowing that most of the world, I mean, even before I found Nathan's show and his tagline, 99% of the world thinks the world is heliocentric. I kind of already knew that because that's everybody. And I already had skirmishes with people prior to coming on the show and learning the much more refined arguments. But I was ready to take on the controversy, and I didn't mind it. I knew it would be. So I don't know what you mean, not ready.
I was nowhere near ready to, to hear the outright lie, blatant, in-your-face, outrageous lies, made-up fantasy. So we're not talking like a conspiracy where, you may see it on the video, or this is something that's literally made up. The numbers are made up. So you've got to challenge a made up something that doesn't exist. You have to challenge that. So we weren't ready for that. We thought we were challenging something that was maybe possible, could be true, if there's enough proof for it. That's not the case.
Yeah, see, I never came from that because my science teacher in grade school told me, I don't even believe it, but I got to teach it. And I said, well, if they're teaching crap, then I don't believe it either. So I've never believed the status quo.
Shout out to Cleary, who says, globe heads are office skaters? I don't know what that means, but thank you very much indeed for the super chat. An office skater. Anybody? No? Thank you for the super chat, Cleary.
Play on obfuscator and somebody who skates in the office?
It's the skater in the office pit. Office skaters. Okay. Thank you again,
But
Cleary.
do you know the interesting thing though, Nate? 10th man. While we're in the midst of the discussion, I think the ball earthers are ready, or at least the ones who have been in the discussion. But in their mind, they want to see what's next. They want to see where are we going to take this. I mean,
that's projection. Not where we're going, where they're going. So they're on a path. They are going through the 5 stages of loss, and their projection that they want to see what we'll do next. There's nothing for us to do any next. The Earth is obviously and observably flat. What more is there to do? Well, we can keep exposing the pretender clown liars, but in terms of the nature of our existence, what we observe, how it is what it is, right? There is no R value, there is no radius value. It's all only existing in the maths, never to be seen, never to be measured. All of those things have come to surface after we realised the obvious nature of our existence anyway. So we've got more detail in terms of how it's not a sphere, i.e. they've assumed a radius value, begged the question, never measured it because they can't ever see it. But without that detail, would it change anything in terms of where we go from here? Well, where we go is only relevant to them because they're projecting their path onto us. Well, their path is one of depression if they get past the bargaining stage, which is what we deal with. So once you get past the bargaining stage, depression, then acceptance. Well, most of them don't want to go to the depression stage, so they regress to anger or denial.
Not that I agree, but I agree with the idea of what is next, because usually people protest. Now, I'm not saying we should go out and protest no gravity, no globe, something like this, but we've been lied to. We want justice. No, don't we want things to be right? Have the wrong put right. So to
right. You're doing your flat Earth evangelism again. Why does it concern you what next man thinks in terms of his religious worldview? If we were in the 1700s and you happen to be in a heavily Christian area and that was just accepted as the rhetoric of how it is, that's the way the world is, even though clearly now we define that as a religious belief. Well, now we don't define the current religion as a religious belief like they didn't in the 1700s. Well, do you want to be that evangelist that goes around telling people, well, did you not appreciate that it's actually just a religion? Well, they're entitled to that, aren't they? Why do you want... What is it with you in this flat earth evangelism? You've appreciated it, and when you did, the world didn't unfold. It remained exactly as it was. You just had your eyes opened to a load of nonsense and models that men had given you.
Okay, so, again, I'm just trying to think how to phrase... Sorry, you're not finished. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was.
Oh, okay. So, again, I'm just trying to think how to phrase. So, what exactly then are we doing? And again, when I say we, I know when I say it, I'm saying it loosely. So I don't just mean, I'm not saying we're like a group of people. I'm just saying if there's a lie in the world, a religious idea, that's controlling the system, why are we even bothering? Why don't we just let the globe earthers be globe earthers? Why would we tell them that they've been lied to?
Because it's not your place. Why would we? Because it's not you.
You're doing it again.
Because you can do... Hold on. You can do whatever you want to, Spurs. But as for you... You're on the path to tyranny. You know what I mean? Why can't they express their beliefs in their worldview of a globe? Well, because you're not them, and who are you to tell them what to believe in? Now, you can point out where it doesn't make sense. I do it all day long. But I'm not going to, when they leave...
No, but I'm saying that why not just leave them to it? So I'm not saying that you should leave them to it, but I'm saying that something in you has said, I've got to expose this lie. I've got to tell these people that their religion, their belief is not true. But why? Why even bother? Why not just say, okay, you've got a religion, you believe in goblins, fairies, live your life.
Why for me? Because it had a massive impact on my life, and I think it's an absolutely fascinating subject matter. No other reason. I want to be a YouTuber, and I've got a great subject matter. What more could I want? I am up with my feet up, reactively dealing with fundies who come here with their religious rhetoric. Absolutely awesome. I couldn't be happier. I'm made up, mate. I couldn't be happier. But do I want to tell them that they must understand the nature of reality as I now understand it? No. Do what you like. I don't care. Go in peace.
Last point before this gets wild. So, you say things like, we've won. We've defeated the ball earthers. We've done it. We've shown that they have no religion. So you bring in the we aspect, like we've done something here. And then you'll say, well, no, it's I. So what, like I say, what is the point of, having a community, building something to shut something down for what? Why would we shut down?
Hold on, shut something down. Hold on. No. Yeah. When we say we have won, I mean, collectively, this panel and the people who've come here to discuss the subject matter have reached conclusions that cannot be undone. The heliocentric model is untenable. There is no geometric horizon. It can't be seen. It only exists in the maths, etc., etc., etc. Well, all of this stuff has been exposed by a we, us, here right now. But does that mean that I'm referring to a flat earth we and a globe earth cult that needs taking down? Well, no. I mean, if my show leads somebody who is definitely already at step 3 in this process anyway, they're already at the bargaining stage. In other words, I'm not a street activist. I'm not one of those people. Now, I'm not decrying those people who go out there and proactively tell the world about this. More power to them. But I don't want to do that. I don't. That's just me.
Yeah, I mean, that was it, basically.
You do. You're an evangelist for this subject, is my point.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. They're on perfect timing. Got them on screen. 5 stages of loss. Like I say, people who are here are already at the bargaining stage. And do they want to take the next step to depression? Oh no, I'm not really on a flying ball flying through a vacuum. Well, they've got to go through that stage to get to acceptance and then move on with their lives. But am I going to be the one that pushes them there? No, I'm not going to push anybody into depression. I might have a good laugh when they take a step back into anger and total denial, often in front of our eyes. It's very amusing. Makes for a great show, right? That's what I'm here for. I've never denied it.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah, if I let go of the spinning ball, can I at least hold on to some ball shape?
You can hold on to whatever you like.
That's my bargaining. I'm at the bargaining stage. So how's it going, everybody? Good to be here on the Flat Earth Debates with Nathan Oakley. Fantastic. You know, in 6 weeks, it's going to be Flat Earth Debate 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, so
I'll try and set my alarm for that one. I'll be here for that one. So how are things been, everybody? Thanks for having me here. It's great to be here. How are things, Nathan?
Very well. I've been enjoying your content. Hopefully you won't get me shut down with anything controversial or too controversial.
Well, actually, I had a funny thing that I wanted to say here, and then I thought, no, if I do say that, like, you probably don't cover those topics here. And then I was like, because I think they're doing AI checking now, man. I think there's like, don't quote me, I don't know if this is definitely true, but I suspect they're using computers to listen to what we're saying, and then if we say the wrong keywords, bang, we're done. I honestly think that might be happening.
Yeah, they told us so. So at the start of the COVID...
Oh, did they?
Yeah, it was on a banner for the channel. So I logged in one day and it explained, just before COVID hit, coincidentally, that... where was it? It wasn't in the UK, it was somewhere else. Anyway, the point is that they explained that they'd have limited actual people to verify whether or not your video was legit. And how did they explain it? It's quite a few months ago now, so I'm trying to rack my brains for how the phraseology was.
I got that message as well. They were saying that because of COVID, they've got less manpower, so they're doing less human checks. I saw that message as well.
Exactly.
But I just had this funny feeling. So I was going to ask you, I won't say the words. I was going to ask you, do BL letter, but the actual words I was going to say, on the flat earth. I thought that was very amusing. And then I was like, nah, but what if he never talks about that topic here? And what if that could get him flagged? It's not worth it. You know what I mean?
I don't know.
Do you still cover the controversial topics, Nathan? Apart from Flat Earth, you still cover the other stuff?
Why would we talk about that here?
I don't understand what you're asking. Just
no,
blunt.
you don't want
I don't
it.
mind
It's
if
politics
it's
shit.
No, we tend not to. On the pre-show we do, mainly because it goes out on the second channel, so if that gets shut down as a result of somebody's loose lips, then that's fair enough, but not on the live show typically. But I didn't understand your question anyway. You used initials and
I'll save it for the backup. I'll save it for after then. I don't want to risk
No, I'm saying don't.
Channel.
Just ask. Just be blunt. Just ask me. Just don't use code.
Okay. Well, I've kind of ruined it now, but I was going to ask you, do Black Lives Matter on the Flat Earth? But in retrospect, it's probably more funny to me than to anybody else.
I don't see as in any way going to get me shut down.
How many of the people here were here, like, you know how there's like, I don't know, 50 or 100, 200 people watching. How many of them were here for the trees? What was that? Remember that thing that Dirk did with the fake Russian? What was that?
Yeah, I've got one
trees.
of the top videos on that. So the trees thing, I was one of the people standing in opposition to it. So I went on a panel with a whole bunch of different people who were all in favour of the no trees thing. And there might have been one other guy on a panel of about 11 people that was also in opposition to it, but I was one of the only people in opposition to it.
Well, credit to you for that. Do people still talk about that? Or has that just disappeared now?
It's just disappeared. It wasn't the first time it had come around anyway. When it came for us, it was the second resurgence of it. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that. No.
Yeah, it's not the first time.
So
you're
saying that Dirk stole it. Basically, Dirk stole it, repackaged it.
No, not Dearth, not at all. Some dude with no subscribers.
It was him, wasn't it? Wasn't he the one that got the fake Russian to do a fake Russian accent? Wasn't that him? Or am I confusing him with somebody?
No, I mean, he might have mirrored it, but that wasn't him. Obviously not.
Ah, okay.
That's Small Potatoes.
Right.
Dearth runs the whole show. Didn't you know that?
Yeah. Right.
Oh, there you go. I didn't know that. There you go.
Too much.
So is Patricia Steer back? Because I heard that she was back. But like, is she back in Flat Earth, or is she still nowhere near?
She
She
does
occasionally
YouTube,
mentions it.
Not
She's under.
specifically Flat Earth.
Go on, Owen. Go ahead.
She still has a YouTube channel, does shows on Tuesday, I think, or was it Wednesday? Sorry. Wednesday, I think. But not specifically about Flat Earth, just whatever. She's not excluding it either.
Oh, that's cool. That's a good philosophy, I think. Be open, but don't. Yeah, that's cool. Well, is there any other new? I didn't mean to come and interrupt while guys. I'm just curious because I haven't really. I sort of drop in and out of different subcultures. So the Flat Earth one I don't really follow very closely. Is there any other big news over the last couple of months?
Yes, Black Swan. The Earth is flat.
Oh, I was here for. I did kind of hear about that. The last time I was hanging out with you guys, it was really good time because Eddie Bravo had just given Nathan Oakley. Has he done that again since then, Nathan? Have you got any more shout-outs from?
So you were having a dabble back in January when the Black Swan first hit, so you're aware of that argument.
Well, I remember. Okay, so here's what I think you guys are saying. It was about footage of something that you could see in the distance, like was it an oil rig or something? And you could see it from too far away. Is that right? Something like this?
No. So basically, the way the argument breaks down, it's a logical basis for the argument, modus tollens. So if the Earth is a sphere with a radius of 3959 miles, then every distance to the horizon can be no more than 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. That's just basically based on the geometry they assert if Earth is a sphere. So the observation with the oil rigs that you were describing, the oil rigs just give you the distances. So they demarcate how far the horizon is. Obviously, if the horizon's beyond the second oil rig, which is about 9.5 miles, then you can say the horizon's beyond 9.5 miles. Well, in the heliocentric model, they have a geometric sphere edge, i.e. a physical edge. The thing they argue on non-stop about, whether or not it bends, well, that's a physical sphere edge, a geometric horizon. Well, as a consequence of that argument, they've had to relinquish their physical geometric sphere edge, the thing that used to block boats and buildings, and tell us that it only exists in the maths, and we don't have a geometric horizon. That's their rebuttal. In other words, it's game over for the geometric model because they require geometry, i.e. a tangent point or physical sphere edge to do the geometry with, and they've had to relinquish it in rebuttal to this argument. So it's a pretty big deal.
There's too many maths and words in there for me. I'll just trust whatever you're saying. Sounds pretty convincing. I think the geometrists have been defeated once again. And thank God for that. I've had enough of those people.
Yeah, I don't need to.
So what else has been going on then? What else has been going on the Flat Earth?
As a result of your recommendation?
There must be big news. It's been like 5 months since I spoke to you. There must be something going on other than just...
I've been recommending...
Any big banners, any big advertisements on the side of freeways and
then
stuff?
Maybe I'll get to tell you eventually. Maybe you can ask 5 more times.
I'm only marking around, man. I saw you guys doing this because I'm still subscribed to you. So I go to my subscriptions and then I see you on sometimes. So I'll just pop in and have a listen and have a chat. If you had 10 people here and it was hectic, I wouldn't have even jumped on. But I was like, they sound like they're a little bit. They've got a little bit of free time. I might just pop in and say hello. It's always nice to do that.
Good timing. It's nice and calm.
But yeah, because it is a Flat Earth debate. Really, Nathan, I want your opinion on all this nonsense that's happening in the world, but I don't want to ruin your Flat Earth show. So if you do another live stream that's just like open chat, I want to get your opinion on all this stuff that's happening. This is this year has been so crazy, don't you think? I did not see this coming, honestly. All of this nonsense. And it just gets worse.
Well, you've been, are you still in Kuala Lumpur or are you somewhere else now?
Yeah, I'm still here, bro. I'm still here.
So obviously being in a lockdown
I'm still
in Kuala Lumpur
here.
is going to be...
Oh, dude, it's hectic, man. And by hectic, I mean there's nothing happening. There's nothing to do. And the first few months were it was entertaining, it was exciting because none of us knew what was happening and the whole world seemed like it was coming to a sudden end and, every day was exciting. Whereas now it's like, hold on, man, I'm in a city where I don't know anybody and I have nothing to do other than sit on a computer. And it's like, I'm just starting to get over it, dude. I'm just starting to get over it. So,
has it been beneficial though? 100 videos this year?
Oh, dude, the last few months have been better for my website in all terms of metrics than ever before. So I'm happy about that. And yeah, like I'm not complaining about that side. But I think it's also been kind of good for me just to sort of test my mental state. Like if you go, what's it now, 4 months I've been here, 4 months without knowing a single person and just sort of really having to, like if I'm not talking to you, I'm not talking to anybody. You know, if I'm not talking to my computer, to my microphone, I'm talking to nobody. So 4 months of like almost silence or whatever, it's just been good to sort of have to spend some time by myself, if you know what I mean. So like I'm looking at the upside of it. But that's really me trying to look at the upside of it. The reality is, man, this is a crazy way to be. How about you? I'm just trying to think. What city are you in? You're not in London, are you? What city are you in?
I'm in a town called Leamington Spa, middle of the country.
What's it like there? Have people gone nuts?
Not especially. I mean, all of the public bits have been shut down. So other than that, I haven't done anything greatly different other than I can't use the public parks or public pools or public anything because it's all shut. But
did they put sticky tape and warning signs all over the parks?
No, I mean, well, they just tape them off. But you know, like I said, other than that, life doesn't change a great deal. But I don't necessarily rely a great deal on the publicly owned bits, if you will, or the government-owned bits, whatever you want to call them. Whereas you're actually cabin fever trapped there, right? You're actually locked down, unlike anybody else.
Well, we were, for like 6 weeks. I couldn't go to a cafe. Normally I like to take my laptop to a cafe and do my work there, but for 6 weeks there was nothing open. It was seriously just shut down. It was crazy, man. Whereas now it is opening up again. You can go to cafes and stuff. But even then, people still aren't having events. So normally if you're traveling around, you like to look on the internet, where's a meetup, where's this, where's that, to go and meet people. But that still hasn't come back yet. So there's still no way for a foreigner to meet. There's still no easy way the way it used to be for a foreigner to meet people. So it's, even though things are opening up, it's still a very lonely. You arrive in a city and it gets shut down. It's like, all right, well, this is not good news for me, is it? Because how do you meet people? It's crazy.
I think you had the right attitude from the off, though, because I think I remember vaguely a video you putting out when the Australian government called for everyone to come home, and you were like,
That was when the funny thing is, that was when I was still in Thailand. So that would have been February when the Australian government, the Prime Minister was like, everyone should come home. I can't remember his exact words, but yeah, I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. And the funny thing, check this out. In Australia, they've doubled the welfare payment. So if you're unemployed, you can claim what we call the dole. I don't know what it's officially called. I think they call it job seeker or something, but it's just called a dole, just money you get for not having a job, right? And they doubled that. So now in Australia, don't quote me on this, but I spoke to someone and they were telling me it's about, don't quote me, it's about $1,400 per fortnight. So close to $3,000 a month. Now, Australian dollars aren't worth as much as American dollars or pounds, but that's a lot of money for doing nothing. So there's all these people in Australia. And also, too, you don't have to go to the office to claim it. So normally if you're on job, whatever it's called, you've got to go to this office once every 2 weeks and fill in some forms and they make you sit on a computer and pretend you're looking for jobs for like an hour or something like this. Now they're not even doing that because the Senate, the welfare offices are all closed. So it's like $3,000 a month for doing nothing. And there are people who are loving this shit. Yeah. They don't want this to end, even if they know it's all bullshit. They're happy collecting the cash. And then check this out. I'm from Victoria. I'm from Melbourne. Melbourne is in Victoria, big city. Melbourne's a huge city. Melbourne is in Victoria. The Victorian Premier, the Premier is like a governor for Americans. It's like he's a guy in charge of the state. I'm not even making this up. A couple of days ago, he says, if you come down with coronavirus, we'll give you $1,500. So if you test positive I'm not making this up, guys, look it up. If you test positive to coronavirus in Victoria, you get $1,500, which is more than most people earn in a week. You get more than a week's wage. For some people, that's almost 2 weeks' wage, just for testing positive. Yeah, seriously, I'm not making this up. Can you believe that?
Wants to get sick though.
So I want to go back now. And so the point of my story, Nathan, is if I could go back to me in February and say, hey, listen, bro, I know you don't want to go back to Australia, but soon they're going to give free money to everybody. Just go. Just go and save up.
No,
and then if they ever open up the airports again,
hold on.
then you can...
Hold on. That's not free money. You've got to actually be sick to get money.
No, if you test positive, I mean, you can test positive to the so-called... Hold on, I better be careful here. You guys do all understand... I won't use the H word, but you guys do all understand the coronavirus is in fact H. You guys do know that, right?
No, I don't believe that coronavirus is a hoax. Hold on 1 second there. I'll just do a quick shout out to Al Junkie, who says, baller, bad arguer, lamey liar, erratic Rita road. I don't understand your super chat, but I really do appreciate it anyway. So are you under the impression that there is not any such virus? Is that what you're under the impression of?
I don't even believe in any viruses anymore, to be honest. Not like physical pathogens, right? There are mind viruses, obviously, but in terms of like an actual thing that's in your body, and it's kind of alive, but it's kind of dead, and it can kind of spread in the air, but it kind of can't, all this kind of stuff, I don't believe in that at all anymore. No.
Fair enough. As I say,
mind
everyone's
virus
entitled
like
to
the
their
globe.
beliefs.
I didn't catch that. Two people were speaking.
That everyone's entitled to their
same as what
beliefs.
you were saying before, Nathan. But before you were making this point that if people do want to believe in the globe, you're not going to try and change their mind. That's how I feel about viruses. So if you or anybody else does believe in them, that's cool. Like that, maybe they do exist. I'm still open-minded, but I realized I've got no evidence that that's the case. Zero. And I was like, shit, if I've got no evidence for that, then why do I still believe it? Do you know what I mean?
Fair enough.
But yeah, man, if you say to me, hey, listen, bro, take this test, because they're doing saliva tests too. It's not even a nasal swab. It's like, hey, take this saliva test. And if it comes back positive, you get $1,500. I'd be like, give me the test. Test comes back negative. I'm like, give me another one. Let's try again. Could have been a false negative. You know what I mean? Let's try again. Let's just give me as many tests as you got. We'll just try this as many times as we can until we hit the jackpot, baby. $1,500 for doing nothing. Goodness gracious.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Do you tie this into all of the headlines prior to all this about universal base income?
Well, I do think that is part of the agenda, man. I do think eventually it'll be like the social credit system where like some people will have jobs, but a lot of people, I mean, most jobs these days are already complete bullcrap. Like most office jobs these days, not all of them, but most of them are make work. Okay, people aren't doing 40 hours of real work per week, not even close, man. Like a lot of what people do at work is just make work. And I think, this is just my opinion, I think they're slowly transitioning the people to what you could call UBI. I do believe that is happening, yeah. And I do think this is part of it, yeah.
Yeah. But
and I'm not even against it. Right? I'm not even really against it, to be honest.
You're saying that if you take a test, you get $1,500, and if you're unemployed, you get $1,400 every 2 weeks. So it's just conditioning people to, hey, I'm making more money on unemployment than when I was working.
Hey, but
yeah, and then imagine if you're trying to run a small business, right? Like you're trying to run a cafe or a restaurant or something. You want to employ staff, but it's a low level employment, so it's kind of like menial work here. So it's a low level pay. How can a small business owner compete now with the government, the dole, the welfare? Like not only is this giving free money to people to do nothing, but it's also hurting small business. So that they've shut down the small business.
Hold on 1 second. I just want to shout out Retro Bill. Enjoying a nice, relaxed FE debate today. A big hello to the panel. So thank you very much indeed to Retro Bill for the super chat. Really appreciate your support.
I'll stay on the dole. So it's all destroying small business.
Hold on, John. No, that's not true, mate. The government also brought in a payment for people grossing less than $1,075 a fortnight. Anyone grossing that amount or less would also receive a payment of $550 a fortnight as a supplement. So
you mean if they're earning small amounts at a cafe or restaurant, something like that?
Yeah, people on lower incomes are getting that supplement as well. So
yeah, I see your point.
Yeah, and it will end, of course, in a few months' time. So it's a short-term thing, and it's keeping retail expenditure at a high, because most of these people on
Meanwhile, the Earth is obviously and observably flat. With that, I will say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and G+ panels for making today's debate possible, and of course, a massive thank you to all of you in the live audience for smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, and all that good stuff. I say, if you're watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley premiering streams, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Did you see my
Are we all
DMs
staying
to you?
quiet because we're waiting for Nathan to start it?
No,
Oh,
just
hang on, we're
rounding
going
out the live
through,
show.
Mic check.
We're going through the best Peter Lorre voice.
And we're live.
My goodness.
Pull it up a little.
Oh, so yeah.
No, you're good.
Give me a second. Watch your hands.
Yeah, you're good.
All right.
Chocolate.
Chocolate.
You're doing it again, chocolate.
Chocolate.
I ain't paying no attention.
What?
Chocolate. Get back.
Oh shit! My bad.
You idiot! You imbecile!
No offense to the Discord panel, but can we cut the boring as hell coronavirus talk?
I
I
agree.
actually like the background.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that.
Chocolate's colleagues
Thank you.
better.
What? I mean, moving shit. That's exciting.
More exciting than the standard.
Well, then again, we're not being bombarded with glow proof.
Yeah, that's true. I've managed to keep it off the show for the entirety of the nonsense, and now we're reaching the tail end of it, or maybe the tail end of it. Maybe we'll have a resurgence in winter. Who knows? Who cares? It's just dull.
Hey,
No, I do
Nathan,
apologize, man. I didn't mean to do that. If you had to if you had to change the topic straight away, I wouldn't have tried to bring it back.
Hold on, I had two people talking at once.
I just said I think I can revert this conversation back to the flat Earth. Did you know that I've been watching a lot of science fiction on Netflix and even in the past, and I've started to notice a distinct pattern. And that is every single science fiction space series out there now always has some kind of virus in it happening. Every single one. That's what I've noticed.
And
I just thought it was pretty remarkable that they just put that in there every single time now. Suspicious. That was it.
Profound.
Contagion.
I do apologize, Nathan. I didn't mean to change your show's topic. So, if you had to change the topic straight away, I wouldn't have tried to bring it back. But hopefully, it wasn't too boring for the listeners.
No. It's just when
But you're right. We've been talking about coronavirus for 3 months now, man. It's old. It's stale. We need to move on to something new and fresh. And check this out. Have you guys heard about this thing that's just taken over the internet 5 years ago? It's called Flat Earth. I think we need to discuss that.
Right on.
Yeah, how about figuring out that nature of the realm, what it is, and trying to get away from all the straw men?
Well, outer space is in fact a hoax, but most of you guys already know that, don't you? Are there any space believers here, though? I want to hear Nathan Oakley destroy a space believer. Yeah, that would be entertaining.
You can't have gas.
Any space believers here?
Define space.
One sentence.
Hello.
And there
Outer
you
space.
go.
This place where people can go and float around.
He has stepped up. It's Mr. Chikey for you.
The space and you go quiet.
Yeah. When in the gradient does space start, Jackie?
It's your feet.
It's not a bad answer.
Okay. That's very
When
close.
unbonded gas molecules move, what is it between them? What's between them?
My feet, my toes.
What? Yeah.
No,
What's
no.
between our
Listen
toes?
carefully. Choco, listen carefully to the question. When unbonded gas molecule, don't talk over me, you will not hear the question.
Shut up.
When gas molecule. Oh, that's what you have, Huey? Shut up.
Yeah, shut up. What's between your toes? I know what it is.
No.
JLB.
No, I asked what is
What's
between
between
the
your
gas
ears,
molecules.
Chikey?
JLB,
What is it
Toe Jam.
between
What's
the
up, man?
gas
Haven't seen you in a
molecules?
coon's age, man.
Answer
What are you
the
doing here?
question.
Shut up, Chikey. Have you figured out that counterclockwise and clockwise aren't objective directions yet?
Is this dude talking to me?
Yeah, I'm talking to you, JLB. Gotta have a JLB.
Is this the angry guy again?
If you want
Is
to
this the
be
angry
with
dude?
me, fucking clown.
Is this the same dude who was angry last time? It is too. I can
Dude,
tell.
yeah.
No, he's not.
Yeah.
Angry. He's
John LeBon. And I guess who I see that in chat with you? Your butt boy, Timmy Clown, hasn't been here since the last time you were here. Are you guys married now? John LeBon. Hey, have you heard we killed your ball Earth? You heard that? Yeah, not too talkative, are you? Friggin' motor
I'm just
mouth.
waiting for you to calm down. When are you going to calm down?
Calm down. I haven't gotten started with you yet, son.
Oh, it's just a warm-up, is it?
Yeah.
This is his happy voice.
So, what seems to be the problem, John?
Which John?
You.
What my
Is the angry
problem
guy's
is
name
he's
John as well?
clown. JLB,
What is this
if
dude's
you want
name,
to be
angry
with
guy?
me, I toe tagged your dumbass. Check my channels. Just say JLB under toe tags.
You've made videos about me.
I think I did it twice.
I haven't seen either of them. Give me the gist of them. Was it just you being mad?
Nah, it was exposing your dumbass.
So
I
some
think
anger.
one of them was the counterclockwise, clockwise things. Let's go back to that. Do you understand that those are not objective directions?
seriously.
Shut up, Chikey.
What is an objective?
Yeah, what's
I'm
an
gonna have
objective
to mute
direction?
your dumbass. Do not interrupt this, Chikey.
That's a good question, though. What's an objective direction, though? And here's the hard mode. No getting angry. What's an objective direction?
What's an objective? What's objective, first of all?
Well, you're the one who asked the question originally, so why don't you define some of these words for us?
God. Here we go with your Elmer. Your Elmer Fudd sophistry is not going to work here. I'm going to jack it yard, son.
Stop. Perfectly reasonable. He's asked you what an objective direction is. He's thrown the question back at you. Fair enough.
I know. I want to drag it out some more.
Wouldn't objective just be universal?
Let me just get control again. He's asking you what an objective direction is. I realise that's your question, or your point, but can you just humour him? What's an objective direction is JLB's question to you, Hewitt.
All right, since you asked, Nathan, an objective direction is not dependent on anything else. Inherent directions, right? There's only one.
Is anything not dependent on anything else, though?
Is anything not dependent on... Here we go with the
no
Mr.
need.
Magoo sophistry.
Oh, God, please,
I gave
please,
you your
please.
answer.
Huey, hold on. Stop. Doing really well. Come on, no need. His question, I'll repeat. He said, does anything have, or is anything not is anything not an objective direction?
Not
Maybe
dependent.
repeat your question.
Is anything not dependent?
Anything not in objective direction? What the fuck?
Don't take my paraphrasing. JLB, please can you repeat your question?
Yeah, I just said, is anything not dependent on something else?
Is anything not... I thought we were talking about directions.
I'm just talking about the definition you gave me for your question. Don't get mad about your questions.
Both of you, right? Both of you.
JLB.
Stop. Let's just insert the word direction, QE. So you're saying, is any direction not dependent on anything else?
Yes, there's one.
So, would my assumption of universal
please.
be
It's hard enough
correct?
as it is. Please. It's hard enough as it is. The response you've got, JLB, is yeah. There's one. That was as much as you got, I'm afraid.
Well, at least he's laughing instead of getting mad. I'd prefer that. I don't see the point of getting mad about these things.
Alrighty then. Is that the conclusion?
Red herring.
No need. Is that the conclusion then? So there's only one objective direction.
Yes.
I think we're making progress.
Can you take a wild guess as to which one that is?
Chocolate, please. So the original question was, do you understand that the whole counterclockwise, clockwise thing is not objective in terms of direction? Do you appreciate that?
Has he gone?
I was asking you, actually. Hold on, no tumbleweed effects, no, please, guys.
Oh, so you got some questions for me as well. Okay, what do you want to know?
It was the original question you were asked. You were asked if you understood that counterclockwise, clockwise are not objective directions.
Yeah, and then I said, what's an objective direction? And then he said to me something about the word objective. I'm like, okay, then it's your question. You define the words. It's a lot harder to define objective versus subjective than you think.
He did. He said not.
So if that's the path he wants to go down, we can go down that path. But
he did.
He'd want to be a very good wordsmith to beat me at this.
Hello, he did. not dependent on anything else. So we've covered that.
And then I said, is anything not dependent on everything else or anything else?
Yeah. And then he said, yeah, there's only one.
And then he said, yeah, there's only one thing. I was like,
so we're at the same point. So, and I asked if that was a conclusion then. So we're at the point where his response is.
Well, why are you asking me if it's a conclusion? He's the one who's meant to be defining his terms. Do you think that he actually defined the term? Is that what you're suggesting?
The question was put to you. Do you understand that counterclockwise and clockwise are not objective directions? You haven't given a yes or no answer yet.
No, I still haven't gotten a definition to the word objective yet. And he was the one who made that point of order.
Not dependent on anything else. You have had that defined.
Well, I asked him if anything qualifies, and he says, yeah, one thing.
Yep.
So really, that's the definition? That's what objective means to this guy.
Is there a question in our midst?
Yeah, but he's talking about direction.
Chocolate. Is there a question in our midst?
Guys, maybe just save me all this trouble. Like, what point are you trying to make? Are you trying to make a point? I don't get it.
We're asking a question of you. Do you appreciate that in answer to the question that you've been asked, whether or not you understand that counterclockwise, clockwise are not objective directions, would be a yes or no from you, to which you display your understanding or lack thereof in regards to the question you're being asked, which is, do you understand that counterclockwise and clockwise are not objective directions? Simple.
Yeah, but then we get back to this definition of the terms problem, though. So instead of you asking me questions, just tell me what you're trying to say. I'll listen. I'm here to listen.
We can't move on until we understand that you understand that they're not objective directions, i.e. dependent on anything else.
So that's the point you're trying to make. That's the point you're trying to make.
No, it's not. But we're at a roadblock because you won't say yes or no. Help me out here, man.
I've been away for a few months. Help me out.
There's nothing to fill in. We just need a yes or no from you. That's it. That's the roadblock we've reached.
Well, for starters, stop interrupting sentences halfway every time. That would be a good start.
Thank you, Arwin.
You're talking to me or the angry guy? Because he has been quiet for the last few minutes. So I think he's behaving himself this time.
We're getting further off the rails. To move on. Hold on, let me just level with him. To move on, we just need an affirmation or denial from you in terms of your appreciation of the objective nature of counterclockwise and clockwise. To move on, we need that, and we're not getting it. I don't know why.
I'm afraid I can't help you.
Well, just say I don't know. That's fine. I don't know is a good enough answer.
So he's not punting his southern clockwise, counterclockwise rotation. He's not punting that anymore?
I just popped in to say hello.
I'll take that as a no.
Hello.
Okay,
we can move on because that's been dead for since 2015. How about the Black Swan? You heard of the Black Swan?
This is the first I've heard of it.
Don't move on.
It was asked before, and he wasn't really all too well informed.
The whole.
I didn't want to move on, but JLB doesn't often give us his company, and I was going to summarise that point too in terms of counterclockwise, clockwise, and southern hemisphere presupposition. But rather than that, QE's pulled the rug from underneath me and gone, "Hey, have you heard of the Black Swan?" Which is a much better argument, in my opinion. And I've given a reasonable rendition to JLB earlier, and it is the most critical argument in the last 5 years of this discussion. So, I'd like that.
I thought your summation was excellent, Nathan. There was lots of mathematical equations and words and stuff. I was like, man, this guy knows what he's talking about. You had me convinced. I am on the Black Swan bandwagon.
I can simplify it.
Does it have to do with oil rigs, though? Does it have to do with oil rigs?
No.
I've got no.
Did
some of the videos talk about an oil rig, or am I just making that up? Did it have something to do with oil rigs?
The oil rigs give you the distance. So because the oil rigs are fixed in place, you can say they are at this specific distance. And because they're at a fixed distance, you can say when you see the horizon, which is what the argument's actually about, not oil rigs, you can say the horizon's at a certain distance. To summarise the argument in a way that makes it far more simplistic to understand, a curved Earth requires a curved Earth edge. They call it Earth curve. So to have Earth curve, you've got to have Earth curve. It's really that simple. And Earth curve is a physical bending geometric edge that they measure with geometry. And we've debunked it because you can't have a geometric edge if it's beyond the parameters of the physicality of the geometry that a sphere Earth must have to have geometry. That's not at all concise or simple. I'm sorry. That's as simple as I can make
your early
it.
explanation was way better. No offense. But,
They haven't got
I'm on board with the Black Swan. So it did have something to do with a oil rig. I didn't make that up. I thought I remembered something.
There's an
about
oil.
rigs.
No,
I didn't just make
the
that up.
argument is about where the geometric horizon should be based on an assertion that we're on a sphere. So it's about the sphere edge. The argument's actually about their sphere edge. The horizon. That's what the argument's about.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Well, they haven't got.
Because I think oil rigs. I suspect oil rigs might be a hoax. That is what the hoax word in the after show. I think oil rigs might be a hoax. And also, I don't believe that all of the fuel in our cars comes from underneath the earth.
What the hell?
Okay, just try. Contain yourselves, please.
Crazy, man.
You asked for something important, and this is important. So, up until now, the globe Earth assertion has had a geometric sphere edge, a physical horizon, Earth curve. Well, they haven't got that anymore. That's a pretty important detail.
Without that, they're in big trouble, I think.
They haven't got Earth curve anymore. So every time people in the last 5 years talked about whether or not we've got Earth curve, or how much Earth curve was seen or not, well, they were always talking about how much you see the horizon bending, right? So there's always this understanding.
I never said that.
I'm not saying you did. I'm not saying you did.
I was pointing out that that's a lot of nonsense back in 2015.
Sure, but I'm just saying.
You know, this is John the Bond, right? I'm the guy who hosted the ball.
I'm not asserting you've said it. I'm telling you what the general consensus argument is. We've got a sphere edge, physical, called Earth curve.
Okay.
That's their assertion, not yours. But the assertion is we've got Earth curve, right? Well, they haven't got it as a physical sphere edge anymore. It's been debunked. Earth curve edge, gone, dead. No longer a sphere edge, can't be seen, only exists in maths. Those are their rebuttals.
Yeah, well, good. Are there any curve believers in the room? You should be addressing this to them, not to me. I never argued that somehow seeing the horizon means we're on a ball.
You asked if there was.
I don't remember ever
big.
saying that.
You asked. You said, "Is there anything big that's happened?" And you were like, "Oh, I'm kind of aware of it. It's just oil rigs that are too far away." Well, no, it's about the physical premise of a sphere edge. That would be Earth curve.
So how do they try to respond to you? How do the curve believers?
I'll tell you.
Do they have the best response?
I'll tell you. They tell us, and I quote, "We do not see the geometric horizon." That's their rebuttal.
Man, that's a very simple rebuttal. In the simplicity stakes, their rebuttal is better than the argument, I have to say. That doesn't mean that they're correct, but they're going to win over more hearts and minds.
Their rebuttal destroys their model.
You appreciate that their assertion is that we do see Earth curve, and their rebuttal is to say we don't see Earth curve. That's their rebuttal. You appreciate that?
Yeah, I appreciate that. If what you're saying is true, their rebuttal is that they don't see it, which is, that's interesting. That's very interesting.
Well, interesting. It's batshit crazy, and you are a baltard. Don't try to weasel out here.
What are you talking about?
That's
You're
not
a
true.
baltard, man.
I don't think so. That's not true. A subtle detail. When JLB has argued here before, he is arguing on behalf of a model. But JLB implicitly understands that we don't live on a model. I can say that with absolute certitude.
Yeah, we don't live on a model. Definitely not. We agree about that. I hope we agree about that. You agree about that. We don't live in a model.
Then what about this star rotation? We could circle back, right?
I've got a strange feeling that we all completely misunderstand where each other's coming from, because it feels like
we understand perfectly. You're a pretender clown, and we're going to circle back to the counterclockwise, clockwise point. So you're a flat earther that's been punting that the friggin' Earth's rotating.
I'm not a flat earther. What? Where are you getting all this
I know
stuff
you're
from?
not a flat earther.
What are you talking about?
I know that. You're a globehead.
What are you talking about?
What do you mean? What am I talking about?
Well, you call me. Don't you mean poopy head? That's the word. When you don't like someone, you call them a poopy head.
You're
That's
poopy pants. Yeah.
Now, JLB is trans-cosmogonical.
Can we cut the really shitty ad homs? It's kind of pathetic.
Yeah, so let's get back on point. So you've been punting like Timmy Clown. He's still holding on to this argument that I destroyed the first day I was out here with this counterclockwise clockwise rotation of the southern stars versus in the north, right? What does that mean? I know you're still hooked on this. You can't let this go.
Yeah, I think one of us can't let this go. That's for sure.
Yeah, you can't. You've been parroting it for like 5 years. Timmy Clown, I told you Timmy Clown showed up to cheer you on. I couldn't believe it. Right? So what is the point of the southern star trails versus the northern star trails and one going clockwise and the other going counterclockwise? What's the point of that?
Do they do that? Do they do that?
Do they do what?
What you just said.
Turn clockwise or anti-clockwise. They're not objective directions. It would depend which way you're facing. If you turned around, you could make them go the other way, couldn't you? That was kind of the point we didn't get to earlier. It's not an objective direction clockwise. I can make something go the other way just by turning around.
You can change the apparent direction of the star trails by turning around. Is that
That's
what you're
right.
saying?
Not an objective direction.
A relative direction.
Relative, that's correct.
Based on an R-based system.
Just based on where you're looking at it from, man. It's not that hard.
But that's one part of the problem. The other problem is that most people who assert it use the word hemisphere. So they beg the question that they're on a sphere to begin with their assertion that this is taking place in the southern part of the bottom of a sphere with this word hemisphere. But it's not an objective direction anyway, so it proves basically nothing.
Okay. I didn't bring any of this up tonight, though, so I'm not sure what you want me to say in response.
It was old business we needed to take care of.
Has it now been appropriately taken care of?
I think so.
I don't know. You haven't said anything. You've been quite quiet.
Yeah, you moved around it every step of the way. Like it's very painful for you to address or something. Is it?
Aren't you
Is it painful? I can see Arwin rubbing his hands together.
Direction is?
Is this painful? Share your pain.
Okay.
So you guys have you finished your unfinished business now?
All we want to know is that you appreciate that it's not a decent proof of anything, even though you came here and used it last time. That's all we want to hear.
I don't think I did use it as a proof. I think I was asking you guys, do you accept that there are star trails in the sky? And even that was difficult to get an answer on that, which is fair enough. Like if someone doesn't want to answer it, that's fine. But that was really what I came here to ask. Like, do you accept that part at least?
I've got no desire to burn his toes here. If someone else wants to, I'm not going to stop you.
Jeez. Yeah. I'll step in.
Well, that was months ago, though. Like I didn't even come to ask that again. I do understand that people don't want to accept certain things. That's fine. That's not.
Well, except what? Star trails?
It's not a big deal.
Everyone knows there's star trails. Second grader know there's star trails. What's your point?
Yeah.
Do second graders pretend that you can change the direction of the star trails?
What?
Here we go.
You don't change the direction of anything. You can turn around and then watch it from another side, but the directions don't change. They're always going to move the way they do.
So, like, if you walk into your backyard at nighttime and like put a time-lapse camera, it's up to you if the trails appear to go clockwise or anti-clockwise. Like, you get to change that, do you?
Oh my god!
Yes, because it's relative to how you're looking. It's basically arbitrary. It's not. Yeah, it's not objective.
Are you happy to agree to disagree with people about that? Because I'm happy to agree.
No, we're not.
He thinks it's agree to disagree.
It's okay. Do you know which direction your stars rise from? With the exception... No, you're in the south, or you were generally. Oh, no, you are now. You're in Kuala Lumpur. Which way do the stars rise from your vantage point? The same as the sun.
I think it's either east.
Right,
Hold on.
rise in the east, right?
Hold on. I think we're almost right on the equator here. Almost. It feels like it. Anyway, it's pretty warm. But yeah, pretty much east, I think. Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, right. And set in the west, right?
Yeah, I think so. Pretty much. Like if you look east,
no worries.
Like when the morning begins, kind of thing.
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah.
Rise in the east, set in the west. All good. QE. What way do your stars travel?
From east to west.
Arwin, what way do your stars travel?
That way. Not from east to west.
Yeah, east to west. Mine travel east to west.
Is that objectively or subjectively, though?
Those are absolute.
Objectively. Yeah.
So it's like an objective thing.
I'm just saying, all of us, regardless.
It's the same for everyone, no matter what. That's
we're all observing the same thing.
North.
We're all observing the exact same thing, aren't we?
Which makes it a universal observation.
What if you met somebody and he uses the opposite words? Like for him, your east is west, and for your west is east. What if you met someone like that?
I'd like to see this place on Earth where it works that way. That would be fascinating.
We do
like
every day.
Hypothetically, if you did meet such a person, is it still universal?
Hold on, you're flapping a little bit, JLB. You realise that's absurd, right?
There's definitely something absurd going on here. Yeah, that part.
No, not at all. All we're defining.
So you tell me, if you meet someone
once during
and they define east as west and west as east, is it still universal at that point?
Do you define west as east and east as
this,
west?
No, this is just a hypothetical question. I could start doing it right now if I want to. I could just start saying, you know what, from now on, I'm saying that direction over there.
East and west are based on one objective direction, right?
He's right. We've got two choices here. There's two roads we can take, and he's right. I'll summarise both. One, we can accept that we're all seeing the exact same thing, regardless of whether or not we're south or north of the equator. And we could also descend this into complete farce and change east to west and west to east. We could do either.
Or choose to turn clockwise into anti-clockwise and vice versa.
Not objective though, is it?
Well, you tell me, is it?
Dude, you make that clock, man. You make the reverse clock. It'll be a revolution. It'll confuse the shit out of everyone. But you can do it if you want to.
You could do it just by turning your clock around, apparently.
Yeah, I don't
I just want to know how you could possibly do that.
Like
if you're taking time lapse of the stars in your sky, I want to know how you can suddenly change that to the opposite of what it is. Like that part I still don't understand.
Opposite of what it is.
I thought you said you were a wordsmith.
Hold on. You're asking how we could change it to the opposite of what it is. We've just established what it is. We're all seeing the same thing in terms of the direction they move. So at what point does it go from west to east?
You're the ones who bring up the west and the east thing. In fact, you're the ones who brought up the clockwise and the counterclockwise thing. I didn't bring it up.
It's our bad. It's a common argument from the globe. They presuppose hemisphere, and then they tell us about counterclockwise, clockwise directions.
He's telling you it's not his argument, Nathan, you stupid cunt.
Yeah, so it's either non sequitur or absurd that you're not talking about the other models. We know about star trails at the equator going both ways on the opposite sides.
Opposite sides of what?
Vacuum is not a brain, it's got a big mouth.
Neil, opposite sides of what? Opposite sides of what? I'm waiting for the fundamentalist religious zealot to presuppose his outcome. Can you tell me on opposite sides of what, please, Fundy? Globetard?
Oh, he's getting triggered.
Presupposing a spherical surface.
He's getting triggered.
Sorry, am I being told that I'm getting triggered while I point out that opposite sides of implies a fundamentalist sphere earth religious belief that we've got opposite sides, that would be hemispheres. Yeah, suddenly I'm antipodal to myself when I go south. No, that's not me triggered. What that is me highlighting how every fundy who ever attempts to prove a sphere will start with a fundamentalist presupposition that is on a sphere by using words like opposite. Now, I know, because I've been here 5 years, that the word opposite is going to imply antipodal positioning. Correct, Fundy?
Nathan, that was me. And I did say how it's non sequitur. And I did say the evidence of what we see opposite sides of the stars directly above the equator. Just that evidence, opposite sides of those photos and that center line in those photos. I'm not trying to say there's a hemisphere. I'm pointing out it's either non sequitur or they need to start brainstorming on why it's like that. I mean, it's so please. It was me that said it, not.
Yeah, well, you can understand how typically opposite sides of is going to be a fundy.
I'd like an apology from you, Nathan.
Yeah, but you got a dude in the background, like that clown right there that just talked. Yeah, he's the one that sounds like he's triggered. Guy.
Yeah, he is triggered. But I do star trail photography in Southern California, and I have that what you're referencing right over my head. So, am I at the equator?
I don't. Hey, that's awesome evidence. I don't know about it all. Again, I'm positioned that it's non sequitur, or they should try to rule out all impossibilities and talk about. You know what I mean? You get what I'm saying? Like, make something of it or put it to the side. They're not. Y'all just sitting here arguing about. You know, who is they? Clockwise and counterclockwise.
Who is they? Directions.
So in Leamington Spa, does it go east to west?
Oh. Wow.
Really don't have patience for this guy, Nathan. If there's anyone that doesn't belong here, it's this guy.
You're not very tolerant, are you?
I told you from the beginning.
Vacuum.
Dumbass.
We are very tolerant to even have you here now. That's the point.
Anyway.
Oh, well, I feel so... I'm so grateful to you lot for having...
Come on, Highlander. Some arguments, some proof, something, no questions. Come on, some proof, some arguments, please. Come on, Highlander. Come on.
That's not Highlander. That's Vacuum is not a brand. Otherwise,
no, Vacuum is a brand, Neil. It's Vacuum.
Okay, Vacuum arguments.
No, you're not a brand.
Please prove something. Give something. Not the question. Give something. Come on.
I'm not here to prove anything. Whoever you...
We know.
Okay, then don't ask that stupid questions.
Just someone.
What stupid questions did I?
Guy's just wasting our time.
Funny thing is, we know you're not here to prove anything. You're
did...
just here to flap your gums. It's hilarious.
Nathan's gone a bit quiet, hasn't
he? Okay, I'm just about had it with this guy.
I'm all good.
I put it.
Thank you, John.
Yeah, I put him on mute because I want to get back to JLB with this counterclockwise and clockwise issue.
Yeah.
That he didn't have an issue
with. I think you're happy when you see me here. I think you like to get angry. And I think when you see me here, you're like, yes, all my Christmases have come at once.
I'm happy to have you here.
Oh, wow. Now you're divining my frigging emotions and stuff. What's next? Carnival tent for you?
I've been saying that you're angry for a long time. You do come across as angry, man. Doesn't make you a bad person, but you're always mad. Whereas for me, when I realized that outer space is a hoax, it gave me peace. Because I used to be afraid of like asteroids and all this kind of crap, and then you find out it's all a hoax. So I think learning about the space should make you more peaceful.
Hello.
But it seems to have made you...
JLB, are you ever going to talk about the clockwise and counterclockwise? Or are you going to talk about everybody's emotions?
Just the angry guy's emotions.
Clockwise.
Because he's pretty angry, you have to admit.
Your opinion, your psychological breakdowns, mate.
By the way, Ramsey, just to go back to something that you said earlier, even if they're giving a subsidy to the employers or whatever, there's still less incentive for people to go jobs there.
JLB, it's a question to you.
JLB, it was cute at the beginning. It's not cute anymore.
And since we've got an Australian here, hey Ramsey, is there like a Flat Earth Australia group? Is there a Flat Earth thing in Australia?
Hello?
Hey guys, stop it. Let the moderator, Nathan, go. He has something to say.
Well, I'll give you one last attempt, QE. If it descends into chaos again, then obviously we'll have to give up on getting a concession out of JLB. Feel free to make one last attempt.
All I'm trying to say, this is the angry guy. all I'm trying to say is you've been going on for about 5 years with this counterclockwise, clockwise star rotation. And I just wanted to put it to bed once and for all with you that counterclockwise and clockwise are not absolute or objective directions, and the Earth's not spinning. That's all I want.
Well, fair enough. I'm glad we had this discussion.
Me too.
Excellent. Thank the Lord.
I still didn't get an affirmation from him, though.
I know.
But you do sound happier already. I can already see that there's been a release. I bet you're feeling much better now.
Yeah, that was down to me.
That's what she said.
The release. Can I ask JLB a question?
It better not be about clockwise and counterclockwise. I think this one...
It's not, sir. It's not, sir.
Go ahead.
I heard
is
you
it
say...
about outer space being a hoax? Because can't we find some common ground here, guys? Can't we focus on something where...
I would like. Yeah. I mean, I heard you say that. Were you sincere?
Okay, outer space is in fact a hoax, and surely most people here know that. Surely most people here know that.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I feel, but then we still kind of get these globers pushing the shape thing. So are you kind of like globe, but fake space?
Hold on, are there any flat earthers who still believe in outer space? Now that I think about it, that would be pretty interesting. Is there like a space is real contingent to flat earth? I hadn't even really thought of that.
Yes, there is. Flat Earth Society. So Flat Earth Society have two elements from heliocentrism. One is a kind of reverse of gravity. They have the Earth accelerating up at 9.8 meters per second. They also have space. So the mainstream narrative in the controlled opposition that is the Flat Earth Society has both space and kind of gravity.
Yeah, but they've been a joke from the start. They were a joke even before Mark Sardi came onto the scene.
There are. I can think of one.
Yep.
Ali B, but he's not here.
Hey, I'm here. And with me, even to this day, there is room for a mysterious space where things would work differently, but it would be basically in the top part of the container. You never really know.
Well, what we're trying to say, John LeBon, let's get specific. That it's not that space is fake, it's that the vacuum of space is fake.
That's too many words, man. Space is fake. Much simpler. That's what I say. You've got to get the rhetoric on point. People's attention spans are not very good.
No, I agree. In my thumbnails, if I'm doing a space is fake video, in
I get
the
it.
title...
You're a comedian.
Hold on, just one sec. What I'd say is, if I'm doing a video about that subject, the thumbnail would say as follows: space is fake. The title would be outer space is fake. And in the video, I'd explain that the vacuum of the sky known as outer space, or quote unquote space, is fake.
Yeah, that makes sense. I made a Reddit thread once on Reddit Conspiracy, and it was, we need to talk about the fakery of space. So sometimes I use more words, but if I can, I just try and be nice and pithy. Space is fake, AF.
The problem with
space is fake AF.
The amount of volume that you occupy, which if you got in a bath and displaced a certain amount of water, you could calculate. Well, that's an amount of space, right? So if you just say space and never qualify it with outer space or the sky vacuum, then you're debunking something that, yeah, you can qualify space and it'd be real. A space.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Like, you can always, focus on the semantics of things. That's a good point. But then they can come back and say, oh, well, what's outer space? And then you get into an argument about what's outer space.
Hold on. Semantics are really important because they're definitions of words, what words mean, so we can communicate with each other. So when you say space is fake, what exactly do you mean?
He would mean outer.
What I'm saying. Space is fake. AF. I can tell you what AF means if you like.
No, I want to know what you mean by space is fake. What's space? What's fake?
I think you know what space I'm talking about.
I don't. Nathan just described how you would be wrong because there is space. Something which takes up volume. I know it's a concept, but still, that's space. What do you mean by space is fake, please?
I think I get what you're saying. So, like, for a lot of people, space might not mean outer space. It means, like, something different. So, if I say space is fake, Like I'm not being careful enough with my words is kind of what you're saying?
Yes.
How about if I like live in a realm where there's hills and valleys and all kinds of things, and I say that this place is flat, would that be incorrect? For the same reason?
No, that's not. No, we're not diverting away from my question. What do you mean by space?
Oh, shit, mate. What's he going there now? Shit, motherfucker.
Oh, it's JLB. Just can you let him respond?
This fucking guy's insane, man.
He's acting like a baller, but he says he's not a baller.
You're batshit crazy, man. I knew that when I first ran into you back in 20. Had to be the second or third day out here. When I jumped on
one of the panels saying that space is fake AF, man.
When I jumped on one of your videos, right, and just exposed your dumbass to everyone that was fawning over you. You batshit crazy,
That's
man.
great.
I know you are.
That's all well and good, but let's get back to your argument about the words and the importance of words. So there's hills and there's valleys. Can you say the Earth is flat?
My question, we're not diverting away from my question, John LeBon.
If this were a basketball game, you could take a timeout. Timeout, boys.
We're not diverting, John LeBon.
He's on a run now, boys. He's on a run.
Exactly.
Hold on.
a break now.
Hold on. If we just get some clarity on what space being fake is, then we'll move on to the definition of Earth being flat. More than happy to. But can we just
That will give you time to regroup, Nathan. Very clever tactic.
Yes, definitely. That's the reason. We need time to regroup in terms of that specific question. But can we stick to the first question and then move on to that? Is that good?
I think it's a smart idea from your perspective.
I think you're right. We need time to regroup. Anyway, so just need to define what you mean by space, I think. Is that your issue, QE? I don't know where you're going with this, by the way.
I just want to know.
Yeah, like, does this guy actually think space is real, though? Like, is that how far you guys have gone off the reservation? Now you're trying to tell me that space is real.
No,
why would you even argue with me about this?
That's why I don't know where he's going. No, as far as I could tell, you're both on the same page, but he's now asking for clarity from you. I don't know why, but there we go.
I think he's just arguing for the sake of arguing. I think he enjoys it, which is fair enough. We've all got our own things we like to do.
Wrong.
See, he's doing it again.
Just play along.
Can you answer a question?
Play along.
Yeah. Look, JLB is constantly wandering off in his divining of what's going on, what other people are doing, and then he gets wrong, and then he just keeps on rolling.
Okay, thank you for that summary. Can everyone stop? Hello? Let me just try one more time. It's just play along. He's asking you what you mean by space. How do you define it? Go on, just play along.
Well, what I said earlier was this place where people can go up in the sky and just float around. I don't believe that place exists. Period. I used to, though. I used to believe. You know, my favourite TV show used to be Stargate SG-1 when I was a kid. It was on every Thursday at like 8:30 p.m. on Channel 7. I think it was Channel 7. Might have been Channel 10. I can't remember, but that was like my favourite night of the week was to watch Stargate. I used to really believe in all that.
You know that's really interesting. And along those same lines, I really love Lamborghinis. That's really fascinating.
Hell yeah.
Anyway, so in response to that, so the place where people float around, let's see where Kiwi was actually
up in the sky, because you got to be careful because you can just go out to the ocean and kind of float around there. So up in the sky where you can just go and float around in perpetuity. I don't believe it. I think they're
So
lying
what is
to
your
us.
position?
Hold on. I don't want to find out where Kiwi was going with that. Was there a reason why you asked him to define that?
Yeah, because everyone says space is fake. I just wanted to be more specific. We're looking for specificity.
I am more specific.
Here.
I said space is fake AF.
Specific?
Okay, I think we've covered this now. Right, now, same goes for you, QE. Hopefully we'll get some reasonable back and forth. Do you want to ask you a question about defining flat? I can't remember what the question was, JLB.
I think you remember exactly what the question was. So if the words are important, okay, which they are, that's what you guys said.
Stop, let him start again.
How about if I live in a place with
you've been rumpused.
hills, valleys, mountains, can I say that this place is flat? Because, you know, to a lot of people, flat means that there are none of these ups and downs. It's just flat. Okay, so can you say the Earth is flat? If there are hills and mountains, which there are.
That's addressed to Angry Man?
He's less angry now. I'm not going to call him Angry Man because he's been a bit better lately. So I'm cool with him now. What's his name? QE. I'll call him QE.
Quantum Eraser. Can we call Earth flat?
Yes, we can call it flat.
I think you can as well, because everyone knows what you mean. What you're saying is that it's not a ball. So you can call it flat because we know what you mean. I think. I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Yes. Same as when I said space is fake. You know what I'm talking about. I'm saying that place where you can go and float around in the sky doesn't exist. Space is fake AF. Period.
All right. Now, like I was saying, In this genre, I'd say
It's
it's
all
flat.
about consistency.
Now,
Without consistency,
oh my God.
what do we
Shut
have?
up.
Hold on, it's intentional. Come on, don't play that game. Just let him respond. Go ahead, Kiwi.
Okay, now in this genre and on this venue, I would just say it's flat because most people know what I'm talking about. However, if it was some new person and they wanted to get hyper technical, yeah, I would say that the Earth is flat minus the topography. That's what I would say.
That's fair enough. A bit more detail makes it a bit more clear. I'm with you. Makes sense.
All right. Fair enough.
What
So
would
what
you
is
say?
space? You still haven't answered it.
Hold on. And what would you say, JLB?
I call myself a ball earth skeptic. 3 words, gets the message across, man. You should have seen how I seeded that meme back in 2015, man. I seeded that meme up the yin-yang and everybody got it. Next thing you know, you're hearing other people call themselves ball earth skeptics. It was beautiful. I seeded that meme. 3 words, very powerful. Ball earth skeptic.
They should make a statue of you, man.
Sure. But you can't really define.
Just give them time and they will, and then they'll topple it afterwards when they learn about my views on genetics. But let's not get into that here, guys.
I appreciate that, but I'm saying, what is it as opposed to what is it not? What would you say it is?
Well, the Earth is the Earth, man. The map is not the terrain. The terrain does have hills and valleys and that kind of thing. But could I, suppose there was enough land. Here's what gets me. If only there was land all around the equator, because then we could just walk, and it would take a long time. You'd probably drive instead. But you get what I mean. You could just travel all across and then see for yourself. And then hypothetically, if I could just okay, I know what you're going to say. It's begging the question, but you know what I'm trying to say here. If I could just go in one direction, east or west or north or south, I suppose, and then come back to where I started, then I would say, okay, I can see where the ballers are coming from. But unfortunately, we can't do that. And so in the absence of that, we'll have to make inferences. Do you know what I mean? That's the problem. I think whoever designed this realm, if there's a designer, which I'm very open-minded to, I think it was very cheeky of them not to have a land bridge from east to west, because it stops us from doing this. Do you know what I mean? Very cheeky. It's almost like they want us puzzled in mystery. There's no easy way to prove once and for all. Imagine if we could do like a big GoFundMe, the Nathan Oakley, what would you call it? You can't call it circumnavigation because of the semantics, but you know what I'm trying to say. The Nathan point to point, you know what I mean? Point to point. If you could do the point to point caravan.
Seriously, bro. What?
Imagine how cool that would be. I would tune in every day for an update.
Your own show.
Seriously.
I gotta go here soon. They're gonna shut the power off. JLB, you came in saying what's new on the flat Earth debates. Hang on. You came in initially saying what's new on the flat Earth debate, okay? And we said Black Swan. Now, Black Swan has told you,
lots of mathematical equations, lots of words. I'm like, dude, I'm on board.
Consider me on board. Hello.
Send me a bumper
sticker. Hello. Can you just let 10th man speak? Hello. Whoever's interrupting him. Go ahead, 10th man.
It's JLB interrupting him.
That's JLB interrupting me, where he's supposed to be alone with no company.
Cabin fever.
So JLB, that new hot thing was explained to you, and it started in January 2020. And you even knew part of it, the oil platforms. But then when it was fully explained to you, there is no curve to this realm. There is no R. So how in the world do you spew the diarrhea you just spewed?
You mean poopy head. I think you meant to call me a poopy head.
He didn't add on me, no. He just asked a question.
I'm just saying, imagine if someone did set out.
No,
if you
answer
could
my question. If
travel from point to point in one direction, that would be very difficult to explain on a flat Earth, wouldn't it? Or would it? I think it would, but I'm open-minded. Maybe you guys have an explanation for that as well.
You're not open-minded.
It's getting really tiresome, guys.
You're not open-minded. You're just... I'm going to call you running mouth. That's what you are.
Poopy head.
Oh, I'm not open-minded. What are you talking about, dude? I'm the original baller skeptic. Do you know who you're talking to here?
Yeah, space in the head, open-minded. That's all you got, space.
Oh, God. If this is going to... I'm just going to end the show.
Poopy head. You meant to use the word poopy head, bro. Call me a poopy head. And if you don't like somebody, just call them a poopy head.
Angry. I'm tired of this guy.
Any Glover's got glow proof or something? Like, jeez, man.
Well, you waste my time. I thought you had something to offer. My goodness.
Somebody say gradient or something.
Gradient, you idiot. You imbecile.
that, I am going to say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and G Plus panels for making today's after show possible. Of course, a massive thank you to all of you in the Nathan Oakley or Nathan Oakley 1980 premiering stream for hopefully smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, and all that good stuff. Be sure to check out nathanoakley.com and the Flat Earth Debate Forum to keep up to date with the community debate. I've been Nathan Oakley. Might as well do a plug for JLB.com as well, so check him out. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
What a day! What a lovely day!